and welcome to Don't Die Before You're Dead. I am your host, Mary McCartney, and this is where we talk about all things related to living the life that you are meant to live. For many of you, you already know that I am vacationing down in Puerta Vallarta, Mexico, and I certainly don't want to rub that in for all of those back home suffering the really cold weather. But I wanted to share something with you today that I've been able to kind of think about as I'm wandering around this city. It's really very old and very beautiful in a lot of ways. I love the beaches and the sunshine's great. But one of the things that I've been able to do is actually to just wander, like I said. So part of my vacation, I'm visiting my son and his wife and my granddaughter. And so they have things to do during the day. My son is teaching and my granddaughter goes to school and my daughter-in-law works from home. So I've been able to get out and about, kind of get lost, go see what's going on. So I've been roaming around with my phone, with my Google Maps, and kind of coming across some odd ways of doing things. And I wanted to share one of the things I did the other day. I wanted to go to this one particular little cafe that wasn't supposed to be too far away from us. In fact, my daughter-in-law had taken me, and it was maybe about a 15-minute walk maximum. Well, I got there. It took me an hour. I mean, literally, it took me an hour. I wasn't very good at reading my Google Maps. I mean, it seemed pretty simple, it seemed fairly straightforward, but I ran into some roadblocks and some detours. And for those of you who've looked at my book, I've talked a lot about those kinds of things happening in life, but this was literal. So I left the place I'm staying at with my family and headed out to go to this cafe just down the street, according to my daughter-in-law. And I'm almost embarrassed to tell you that I was there with her before, but true to form, I guess I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention on the way back. And I like to talk, so I guess I was probably yakking and not paying much mind. Anyway, I got on my phone and away I went. Well, I'm roaming all over the place, and some of the places stopped looking familiar, not too far away from the house. And then I realized that some of the places I really didn't want to travel to. So I'm going down the street and it says like turn left or turn right. And I'm looking down the street, and in some cases it was like going straight uphill. And it's like, oh, I don't really think I want to do that. So I would turn around and start heading back the way I came, and then thinking maybe I'd made a mistake, and I'd look for sort of, that parallel. There was kind of like looking for that grid pattern I'm used to. Um, there is a little bit of grid here, but I wouldn't say it's a lot, not in the outskirts. Definitely down around the Malecon and downtown where I've been in the last few days. But out there, it was more kind of roundabout, at least in my opinion. Anyway, I looked at some of the directions to go in, and I thought I really didn't want to climb up there. The hills can be pretty steep. In fact, if you've been looking at my Don't Die Before You're Dead Facebook group, you'll see I've posted some pictures where right now I'm staying at a B&B right up the mountain. So going down is a breeze. My sister-in-law and I walk down, roam around down, but we take an Uber coming back until today. Today I walk back. But the main point I wanted to make with this is the fact that sometimes when we're looking at how to go about a certain direction, there are things that get in our way. There are things that we want to change our mind about. So the fact that it took me an hour to go where I wanted to really was kind of immaterial. I was wondering, I mentioned that, I think, that I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a deadline. I didn't have anybody relying on me to arrive on time. So I had the freedom to do that. And in some cases with our life, perhaps we don't always have that ability just to go where we want to on a whim, that maybe we have other people relying on us. But when the opportunity comes and we see that, maybe the opportunity didn't really develop the way we had thought it would. Maybe we need to make a detour or a change, or maybe we run into a dead end. The fact that you are aiming to get somewhere and you're staying in motion, I think is really, really important. I talk a lot about getting off the couch, staying mobile, go do something. And I know not everybody wants to climb into a little mini cargo van and travel the way I do, but there might be other things you want to do. I have some guests coming up on my podcast that hopefully will give us some ideas about what we can do to, just add some extra vim and vinegar to our lives, because it's easy to kind of get ruttish. Are any of you kind of ruttish? I know it's easy to do. Sometimes I get like that, mostly in the wintertime, and it's kind of like, oh, it's too much effort to go out. In the summertime, it's nothing for me to think, oh, I'm t-shirt, shorts, I'm dressed. I'm just going to go jump in the car, go get ice cream. The wintertime, not so much. Don't want to put on hats and coats and mitts and boots and go out and start a cold car to go out and get ice cream. So it does make a difference in terms of what we can do. And we need to change up some of the things that we do just to make sure that we're staying active and participating in life. What could you be doing that perhaps would be more exciting or add some excitement to your life that would not be, out of too much out of the ordinary for you? Are there things that you're thinking about doing but putting off? Maybe you've come to a crossroads. Maybe you're looking at some ideas of which way you should go. In a lot of cases, it doesn't really matter. If you remember, maybe if you're like me, of an age where, you remember Alice in Wonderland, where she got to the Cheshire Cat and looking for directions. And the cat says, well, like, where are you going? And Alice says, well, don't know. Cat says, well, then it doesn't matter. What does matter? What is the ultimate outcome of our destination as we age, as we get older? Did it matter what roads I took? No, I don't think anybody paid me any attention whatsoever. You know that? They weren't writing in the newspaper that I got lost. My family laughed. It was kind of interesting. When I first arrived here, we got into they got me into the Uber program, so I could just call an Uber. And initially, I was sharing with them so that they could kind of have an idea where I got off to, and that was fine. Now, not so much, but yeah, just being able to say, okay, I'm looking for new things, and it wherever it took me was fine. I think a lot of times when I think about this, I think about retiring, and some of the people I've spoken to, they get to the retirement place and they really haven't looked at where to go from there. Is retirement a destination? Kind of like, heading off to the coffee shop. I had a goal in mind, but I didn't really calculate how I was going to get there very well. But what about retirement? Is it a destination? Are you planning to get there? And then what? I mean, coffee shop, I knew I had to turn around and get back somehow and reroute myself or whatever. I found that in my talking to people, even all across Canada where I've been out west, is that a lot of people arrived at the retirement destination, but didn't know where to go from there. They had no fanciful whim, no dream that they were putting off till they got there. They were just kind of ruttish, wondering what would happen day by day, thinking maybe something would be different. What about you? What do you think? Do things that are different just pop up out of the clear blue sky, or do we really kind of need to look for some of them? I think we do. I don't know. I mean, when was the last time somebody ran into your house with a great opportunity and dragged you out to go somewhere? It would be great, I think, but some of us need to kind of have an idea going forward. Is there a hobby you have in mind? It's been said, or at least I've heard in the past, that if you build up a hobby before you retire, then you've got something to look forward to. I want to say one of my mothers-in-law, but I mean, it's actually the truth. My last mother-in-law, she was a quilter, a marvelous, marvelous quilter, did all kinds of quilts. I think she ended up giving one to each of the boys as a wedding gift, and they were just unbelievably beautiful. But before she retired, she had stored up lots and lots of material. She had a cupboard downstairs off her rec room area that had layers upon layers of materials that she wanted to use as she was doing the quilts. So she was in preparation long before she actually decided that she was going to retire and stay home. But she had all this wonderful outlook on her hobby to do. I think personally that that's a great thing to look forward to. If you can set that up before you retire, then perhaps that takes some of the sting out of it. But if you have already retired, what if you're already stuck? What if you are looking and you find that you're at a dead end? Maybe not even a crossroads. Maybe you've come to a dead end and think, well, what do I do now? This is it. What kind of things would spur you on and create some excitement and interest in you? Taking a left turn, taking a right turn is better than no turn. Standing still doesn't really get us anywhere. It's just another day gone. What kind of things are you interested in? What did you do before you actually left work? Are you into sports? Are you into reading? Are you into photography? Are you into fishing? I mean, the list can pretty much be endless. And if it's something you've never done in your lifetime, but maybe some people that are doing it, if you join some people, a group, maybe a small community group, maybe there's something there that would excite you and interest you to just learn right from scratch. I had the opportunity before I came on vacation to look into joining a card playing euchre group in a community. And I went for about 3 or 4 weeks before I came down here and really enjoyed it. Met some new people, and I did like cards always, but it was a great outing, and it was, cold, miserable days leading into the darker days of late November and whatnot. What can you do that would be really exciting? Maybe it's photography. Maybe you've always wanted to go out and take pictures of something. I like taking pictures of where I've been. Especially if you notice on my Facebook group, it's all about scenery for me. I mean, you can't go around taking pictures of people without their permission for sure. But I like taking pictures of water, and I did a lot of mountains when I was out west this summer because I'd never seen them before. I think it's really something that if you plan ahead of time, you can kind of beat some of those doldrums. And if you can take a partner or a spouse along with you, the last couple of podcasts I've done, some people have been talking about relationships. And how do you spur that relationship when you get to the point of retiring? You're both retired and you haven't had as many hours to spend together as you've had in the past. And all of a sudden you're looking at each other and thinking, we have a whole day. Some folks find it very enlightening, encouraging, relatable to join one hobby, one interest, and work together. Maybe RVing. Maybe that's something that you would like to do. Maybe traveling together. Maybe that's going to be something in your retirement that you've been looking forward to, and do it while you can. I've talked a lot about do what you can while you can for as long as you can. Keep putting things off till later. Sometimes later doesn't come. I learned that firsthand. I thought that there were lots of things that Joe and I would do later in life, but wasn't meant to be. But we did a lot of things before, and I just can't tell you how grateful I am for that. So is it traveling? The two of you want to work together. Now, they make comedy shows about couples that struggle to stay together, and one is around too much. Wife says, get out of the house, go find something to do. And the husband says, stop nagging me. And maybe you want to have two separate hobbies. They're like you were working. You each went to your jobs and you came back together and made a united front that way. I guess the whole point of what I'm trying to say is in my ramblings, my wanderings, both, it's easy to kind of decide that you're going to change your mind, go different direction than perhaps what you were told or even what you thought was going to be the direction. But it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to turn around. It's okay to make a U-turn. Just keep moving. One of the things that I did that day when I was all over the place looking for a coffee shop, I have a Fitbit and I count my steps. Some days I don't do well at all. However, I kept moving. I think that's the key thing here. Are you still moving? Are you still in forward motion most of the time? Are you keeping yourself fit mentally, fit physically, fit emotionally? I think we need to move to do that. I think reading could be a forward movement for mental health. You keep learning new things. That's great. Doesn't all have to be hard work. I certainly am not going to be the one to advertise a running program, not at my age, and not what, 40 years ago. But what are you doing to keep moving? Keep your mind going, keep active, join a group, reach out to people, don't isolate yourself. And I guess as I'm sort of wrapping things up here, I can only ramble for so long, right? I'm thinking sometimes it's not about us. Sometimes maybe it's about somebody else. Maybe we need to be the encourager for someone else who is lacking it, or for this moment in time is missing it. Can we reach out and make their life a little bit better? Maybe they're at a crossroads. Maybe they're at a dead end. Maybe our mission in our moving forward is to bring them along with us. Anyway, I'll just close at that thought. It was just something that was running around my head when I was running around Puerta Vallarta the other day, and wanted to share that with you. So thanks for joining. I look forward to chatting with you again, and I wish you all, wherever you might happen to be, warm, cool, cold, hot, I wish you all the very best and live your best life. I'm Mary McCartney signing off for Don't Die Before You're Dead. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.